Let us have a little chat, though, about how the Labor Party fell for what is a racist meme, all right? Now, apparently, some people have decided, basically, the sort of, bugger off, we're full stuff, was what people would put on a T-shirt. Well, the Labor Party decided to do their own version of it, which was kind of, I'm a bloke and I love Australia and I love beer and I love Medicare. I mean, geez, how ham-fisted is this, by the way, about how to speak to blokes, because we know they've got a bit of a bloke problem. Matt, free kick from right in front, 6 points if you want them.
Well, it reminded me, Paul, that meme that goes around with Steve Buscemi in 30 Rock. He turns up at school as, a 60-year-old dressed with the hat backwards and the skateboard. Said, "How you doing, fellow kids?" It's like, "How you doing, fellow patriots?" I mean, it's just cringe, isn't it? And we all know they don't believe this stuff. And what's worse is they've gone out there trying to show, hey, we really love Australia and we love a beer and a steak, we're just like you. And then it was actually the outrage from their supporters, Labor supporters, who can't tolerate any celebration of Australia, that have forced them to then.
I'm not wearing that flag.
I know this shirt has got, I don't know, apparently got some connotations, but the meme they put up was just a bloke in an Australian flag. How is that wrong? What's wrong with that? But apparently it is, according to the Labor Party. So, you know which side they're on.
I think they made a mistake. Firstly, should have been a singlet, right? Should have been a singlet, blue singlet with that on it, if you want to be fair dinkum. But of course, we know there's a bunch of people who wouldn't dare be seen dead in a singlet.
I don't want to see these Labor guys in a singlet, first of all. I mean, that's the first thing we're going to start about here. But, beyond that, though, there's this real sort of interesting thing to me that we're at this point in the campaign. The campaign hasn't been called yet. We're already seeing this sort of thing, and we're seeing
there's now nutty stuff happening.
We're seeing nutty stuff, and we're seeing both sides now jumping at shadows. We saw the other day Peter Dutton having to apologize for having called somebody limp-wristed, or saying Albanese was limp-wristed on a policy. This, goes to some teachers that said in Australia we speak English. Oh, well, okay. It's funny that both sides are now so hypersensitive and will jump to anybody saying, "Oh, that's offensive. You can't do that." And so this is the sort of thing that happens generally towards the end of a campaign. I think it's not the sort of thing that we start to see now. And I think it's a creature of the fact that mentally our set is that we should be getting ready to vote like in a week or two, and we're not.
And I remember one of the things after the 2010 election, basically dead heat election, and then the buy-off in the negotiations. One of the great things about elections, whether you win, lose, you like the result or you don't, is it's definitive, right? There's this fever pitch, and then you go, okay, everyone back to their corners. When it ends up being like that, and most likely that is where it's going to be after this election, you stay at that pace for a really long time. Monique Ryan's husband. Now, remember, she thought she'd be Prime Minister one day, so I presume I should show you the first gentleman under a Ryan administration and how he was pulling down signs of his Liberal opponent to his wife's rule.
So, hang on, mate. What are you doing?
I'm taking the sign down.
Yeah, beg your pardon?
I'm taking the sign down.
What are you doing that for?
Because it's on public land. It's not
who
on,
are you?
I'm not saying who I am.
Perfect example about it. Matt, you know what it's like. Okay, look, people get very, very fired up, overly invested in whether it's their team, holding on or taking. Obviously, chill pill required. But I couldn't imagine anything more devastating for a candidate than somebody's partner being involved in stuff like that.
Yeah. Remember when Monique Ryan said she wanted to do politics differently? You remember that? Well, this is one way of doing it differently, I suppose. I mean, this kind of thing does happen on all sides of politics, but it's pretty rare for the spouse, the partner, I think the husband here, to be involved in this stuff. Usually it's some young kids who get a little bit overexcited and go too far. But this guy, what excuse he's got? He can hardly roll out the Mark War, I'm young and naive. I mean, it's beyond the pale. I don't think an apology is really good enough. I think they really need to explain themselves. Apparently, there's been a spate of corflutes vandalised across the seat. And keep in mind, for the outside observer, it might just seem, oh well, it's just a sign. Who cares? These signs cost a lot of money. So when the other side does this sort of stuff, it's effectively taking money out of the bank from your political opponents. It's theft. And if this is coming from the top, if that's the behaviour coming from not just, as I say, rogue volunteers, but from Monique Ryan and her husband herself, that goes to the heart of who they are and their character. And as I say, they promise to be different, to be non-partisan, transparent, and all these wonderful things. They have not lived up to their promise to Teals at all.
I mean, I just want to know, Paul, where was his mask? You know, remember it was Monique Ryan.
Put your
who was
mask on.
in Parliament. Where's your mask? Put on your mask. Where was his mask?
I tell you what, how committed was he? Teal T-shirt, teal jumper, like he was all in, except he didn't really help the teal cause this week.